so the ideas that I'm going to be giving you today may not be new, they may not be brand new to you, but when you're studying a language, sometimes it takes a while for the information to go from your head, right, down to your arm when you're writing or speaking, okay? There seems to be a gap, and so that's what we want to talk about today and help you with this session is just practicing the ideas that maybe you understand, but we need to see them kind of consistently. We do need to see them consistently, okay? So when we talk about new grammar items, if I say simple past tense, we can talk about grammar in lots of different ways. And in this class, we're going to talk about form, meaning, and use, okay? And I hear somebody getting out a notebook. Norman's got his notepad out. John-Ayre's got his notebook. This would be a good idea. If you see your teacher writing something on the board, it's always a good idea to copy that down, okay? So if you've got a notebook ready and a pen, this would be a great time to get that out and start copying some things down. Okay, so when we talk about grammar, we can talk about form, meaning, and use. What do you think this means? Form would be, those are parts of the sentence, I think, but we could say structure. It's how to make the grammar, I guess. How to make the grammar, how to write the grammar, okay? So for example, if I said we're going to use move in the past tense, if we're going to say move in the past tense, this would be move, but how do I make it the past tense? What do I do to move? I add ed, or in this case just d, moved, right? So when we talk about form, we're talking about what do we do with the verbs? How do we change the verbs to make them the past or the present or the future, okay? So when we talk about grammar, we can talk about form. When we talk about grammar, we can also talk about meaning, okay? When I change move to moved, what does that mean? When you hear moved, what does it mean, okay? It means the past tense. So, for example, I'm going to be using lots of what we call timelines to help you understand the meaning of some of the grammar that we talk about, okay? So, for example, if I say right now, this is right now, in class, Wednesday morning at 9:20, okay? If I want to talk about the past, I can use the simple past tense. I can say, this event happened, let's say, last night. Okay? So if I said moved, moved would be better with, let's say, last year. Okay? Let's say last year. Last year, I moved from Auburn, it's a small town, to Sacramento, okay? I moved, I changed my house, okay? I could say I moved from Auburn to Sacramento last year, okay? So when we talk about grammar, again, we can talk about form, meaning, and we can also talk about use. Use is when an American or a native English speaker would use the past tense, okay? Or use the form that we're talking about. Okay, let me just ask really quickly. When we talk about grammar, we're going to talk about form. Can you tell me what that means? What does form mean? How to make the sentence, right? It's basically, how do I do it? How do I make the sentence? So we gave you the example, how do I turn this verb into the past tense? I want to change this, then you add a D, right? M-O-V-E. So that's just how to do something in English, okay? Meaning, what's the meaning? Yep. Right. Meaning kind of helps you understand the idea logically. When we're talking about verb structures, we're going to be using timelines to help you understand. When I say moved, this is what it means on a timeline. Okay, so we'll use timelines or other things to help you understand what does it mean. Finally, use is what? I would say how a native English speaker would use. How a native English speaker would use the structure that we're talking about, okay? And we gave you some examples. A native English speaker would use the simple past tense to talk about events that were finished, events or activities. A native English speaker would use the simple past tense to talk about facts from the past. For example, I was a teacher in 1998, or Mike said, I lived in Costa Rica in 2007. Okay? Great. So when we talk about new grammar structures, I'm going to talk about form, meaning, and use. You're going to hear these words a lot. Okay? So try to get comfortable with form, meaning, and use. When we talk about grammar, these are the different ways we